So is it a Saturday,
Nope.
every Saturday that we do these showdowns, or what?
Now just the showdown.
Well, welcome to the channel, everybody, and welcome to our showdown. And today we've got, I would say, like the big head-to-head. I'm going to call it the big head-to-head. And
the marketing head-to-head.
great, fantastic. We've not even talked about that off camera, but we're both thinking along the same lines. TaylorMade and Callaway are probably the biggest marketeers when it comes to the golf industry, when it comes to product. Well, I'm bringing the new Paradym driver.
I'm shocked.
You're shocked. I know you're shocked. Because I really wanted to bring this one because I did actually struggle with it a little bit.
Yeah, so in the review, if you've not seen the review up there, we sadly reviewed this on a very cold day.
Yeah.
So your swing speed was down, so the ball speed was down, but it was relative at the end of the day to the swing speed. So today, you want to give it a fair chance against the Stealth 2, which is ultimately, ball speed-wise, the club to beat at the moment.
Well, I got to say, when I tested the Stealth 2, and if you haven't seen that video, up there as well, I was getting the most ball speed that I think I've ever had, or certainly had in my 40s.
I was just about to say that.
In my 40s.
I was literally just about to say that.
And really, if you compare the two of them at that particular, which was unfair comparison, because I was swinging this one at around probably 106 mile an hour, I was getting that up to like 110.
Yeah.
So there was a real difference in the how warm it was, certainly in the studio and outside. So, well, today's the day. Down in the comments, before we get going, which one's going to win? Important note to mention that I've got the Triple Diamond in the Paradym, and Lee's brought the Stealth 2 Plus, which is they're both low spin models. So we should see some low spin numbers when it comes to what we're going to get out of these two drivers. But looks down on the golf ball, it looks kind of like small in comparison to, let's say, previous models or previous other type of manufacturers out there. It looks quite squat in its look, but looks-wise out the ball, really actually quite mean is probably the word I'm going to call it. It looks like a hard club to hit, probably maybe because of its size. Quite a lot of technology gone into this Callaway Paradym, talking about jailbreak in the face, talking about carbon, forged carbon wrapped all the way around this driver. So pushing weight as close to the face as they possibly can to try and bring that spin number down, pushing CG as close to the face as possible. With that in mind, therefore, you would need to be somebody that probably hits it quite hard to get anything out of this driver. For me, at swinging it at around sort of 106 to 107, 108, probably as a normal, I do find it quite heavy down at the bottom. So it's a real challenge for me to get the most out of this driver. So it's probably not overly suited for me. The feel off the face of this driver when you get it out the middle, and all the other products that they've got, so their kind of standard head and their X-range head, which is their kind of like draw bias head, they all feel basically the same, which is a nice thud off the face, which I have to say is it's music to my ears when it comes to hitting a driver. And then we move into the Stealth, and when you talk about carbon, I mean, the carbon age is absolutely with us. I remember back some time ago now when Callaway released like a carbon head, different type of driver. It was very new to the market, it didn't kind of stick with it. And then when we go into the Stealth 2 driver, we've got 60 times carbon twist face. And that's kind of like all the sections glued together or brought together on the face to get as much ball speed and control across the whole face of this driver. And looks down at the ball, well, if you compare it to previous models, let's say the Sim and then into the Stealth number 1, the shape of it, very, very similar, kind of like more of a pear shape than what I'm seeing out of, let's say, the Callaway. Do I like the look of it? I probably prefer the Callaway from the shape point of it, but I do like the fact that this driver is quite easy to line up with that little marking on the top of the head, which you don't have in the actual Paradym. And when you go into the Stealth 2, when you look at the other two models, very, very similar in its shape. Slightly different in shape when you go into the Callaway, but very similar when you move into the other two models of the Stealth 2.
Okay, so the Stealth 2 to start with, since I brought it, and it reminds me very much of my old Sim 2. It's the same shape, it's the same sort of pattern, and now with this sort of slight change in the inertia generator compared to the old Stealth, It very much reminds me and looks like the old Sim 2. Only difference being, this has got a bright red face. Now, when we've tested this previously on these showdowns, this has given me the best ball speed with only one driver coming close to it. So it'd be interesting to see now, with my first hit, the Paradym, whether that can get anywhere near it. As Dan said, you know, with this driver, you've got 15 gram weight at the front, you've then got a 15 gram weight at the back. So the weight is very balanced across the head. Normally with this kind of driver, you'd see a heavier weight at the front and a lighter weight at the back. But that to me makes this club actually pretty heavy. And like Dan said when he talked about the Paradym, this is really not a driver I would use. Although I've got a faster swing speed than Dan, it definitely feels like I've got to drag it into the swing as opposed to just allowing it to swing. Now moving on to the Paradym, I'll be honest, when I first saw the pictures of these leaked on the internet, I was a bit like, what is that? I did not like the look of it whatsoever. And now I've seen it in the flesh, it's grown on me a bit, but I'm not a fan of the blue, which is surprising to some people because I mainly wear blue. But it just, I don't know what it is. It just doesn't suit my eye. And with this being the Triple Diamond and the head being 450cc, so 10 cc's less than the X and the Standard, you definitely notice the difference when you're looking down at it at the ball. And the last thing that's different with this compared to the X and the Standard is this has got no chevron to line the ball up. I'm definitely someone who likes something on the top to frame that ball into the center of the face. For ping, for me, it's the turbulators, so that's what does it. With this though, there's nothing there visually allowing me to line it up into the center of the face, which there is on the standard models. But the main thing that I thought when I saw this and jumped into my head straight away was Zexio. That's the first thing I thought when I saw this head cover. This to me is very, very targeted to the Asian market. If you look at a Zexio head cover, it has this shiny blue and gold. That's immediately what I thought is it's definitely more targeted for the Asian market than possibly the European or American market. But the ultimate question is, in this video, is this capable and going to stand up to the Stealth, which has had the ball speed top list for both of us so far this year?
Three good hits. Let's go.
Look at that.
Wow. Today is your day. Today is your day.
Okay, quick tech talk on both of these drivers, starting with the Stealth 2. As Dan's previously said, 60 times carbon twist face. Difference being between this and the Stealth, this is 2 grams lighter. Not a noticeable, or you may think a big difference, but you know, it's lighter, so therefore you're expecting more ball speed. They've got an advancement in the inverted cone technology. So behind this face, there's all these little ripples. That's been advanced, and that's designed to give you better ball speed across the whole of the face. As per the Stealth, it's got the inertia generator. It has a carbon sole and also carbon on the top, but not a great deal of changes between this and the Stealth, but just a few refinements. And now for the Callaway. So Callaway have gone really out there this time when it comes to technology. So you've got the forged titanium face. Difference being this time their super duper computer, their AI computer, has designed that face. So the ripples behind have all been done using thousands and thousands of different shots, and that computer has given you this pattern behind the face. The other thing that it's got is an industry first, and that is a full 360 carbon chassis. So this whole body all the way around is a complete piece of carbon, and that's designed to make it more lightweight in the head so they can push weight anywhere on the face where they think it's going to give you more MOI. And the final big talking point of the Paradym is the jailbreak. Again, they've asked their super duper computer, their AI computer, to design this jailbreak. So there is a refinement again in that jailbreak system, which is there to give a bit of rigidity between the sole and the crown of the head in order to just give you better ball speed. So this weight at the front is 14 grams, whereas the back weight is 2 grams. And the difference being to the TaylorMade is you can swap these around. So it has the usual key in there, so you can unscrew it. You can push the weight at the back and bring the 2 gram weight further forward. So you can actually make this slightly more forgiving by just pushing that weight at the back, something you don't get with the TaylorMade.
Now, just before we give you some numbers, when Lee was talking tech there, it's kind of given me a bit of an idea. So let me just hit a couple more and then I'll go into my numbers. Numbers then. Paradym to get us going with On average, 151.2 mile an hour off the club face. Now remember, both of these drivers are going to be in 8 degrees of loft because it's the lowest I can get that Paradym down to. So I've done the same with the Stealth. If we then go to the Stealth number, 154.2 mile an hour off the club face. Both of them are launching at 14.3 and 14.5. But look at the difference in spin. We've got 1,781 revs out of the Paradym compared to 2,222 on an average out of the Stealth. I mean, that's a big difference there. If we look at peaking out, so we're peaking out at 32 yards high with the Paradym compared to 38 yards high with the Stealth 2. And then if you look at distance, this is carry distance, 266 carry out of the Callaway compared to 269 carry out of the Stealth 2. And to be fair, the Paradym doing extremely well considering the ball speed is what, 3 mile an hour further down? So it's actually only 3 yards behind what I'm getting out of the Stealth. Now listening to the tech of what Lee was saying there, I just wanted to just push those weights, move those weights around in the Paradym because out of the box, that one came with the heavier weight closer to the face. So what I did is I just moved it back and pushed it back there. If we look at those numbers, 151.3 ball speed off the club face, so that's not changed at all. My launch is at 13.9, so basically, you know, 0.5, 0.6 difference there, so nothing in that as well. But look at the spin numbers, 2,467 average spin off the face of that. Peaking out 37 yards high, but because I'm revving that ball up a little bit more, I'm now starting to lose that yardage. I'm at 258 average carry, and that little bit of ball speed is now knocking that yardage, it's just knocking it down a little bit.
So looking at my numbers, and I didn't redo that test because I'm really struggling with these drivers. So Stealth to start with, average ball speed 157.6, Paradym 157.6, so nothing between them as an average on this test today. But I couldn't get either of them really anywhere near the 166 that I got the Stealth previously. Best to best, 161.7 with the Stealth, 159.9 with the Paradym, so it's keeping up with it. Launch, definitely launching it low with the Stealth, 13.9 compared to 15.6 with the Paradym. The spin, the Stealth is spinning slightly more than the Paradym, 2463 with the Stealth as opposed to 2259 with the Paradym, but the Paradym has got that in it where it can do a 1397 and a 1388. That's what's brought that down, whereas I'm not seeing that massive drop in spin like I saw with the Paradym, so that does worry me slightly. When it comes to carry distance, Stealth 269 and the Paradym 270, best to best 280, 284. So all in all, like not a driver that I would play with in this setting or even probably play with in any setting, these low spin drivers. But surprisingly, and kudos to it, the Paradym has definitely kept up with the Stealth today on this test.
Well, with all that going on, I think we probably need to do a little bit of that.
I think we probably need to do a little bit of this actually.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, and I'll go back to my Mizuno or my pink.
One thing that I do want to talk about, just before we finish off this video, is I'm a toe striker, aren't I? We know that. I get a lot of my shots out of the toe. I tend to hit it generally in the high toe area. I've not really noticed this a massive amount, but it's more evident now that I've been testing this driver. I do lose quite a lot of ball speed when it comes to hitting drivers out of the toe.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean that I lose yardage because what happens is my spin drops off, my launch generally goes a little bit higher, and I still get the carry that I would have got, let's say, out of the centre or with a decent ball speed. But what's interesting with this Stealth 2, and I can't explain this, I cannot explain this, but when I do get this one out the high toe or in the toe area, I still maintain good ball speed.
Well, is that explainable by the fact that is the marketing actually right on this occasion where they've lightened the face, they've got that advancement in that inverted cone, which is designed to give you better ball speed over the face. Middle to middle, maybe not a lot of difference, but across an average of the club face, that's maintaining its ball speed, whereas you may see drop-offs out of the toe and heel out of potentially this one or any other driver.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, that's the only explainable reason.
Yeah. Because when I hit that out the toe, I'm in the 140s, high 140s. When I get this in the toe, I'm at 152.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the difference if you look at the averages of those numbers. Out the middle, I don't think there's a great deal in it. But I just think, I don't know what it is. I'd have to speak to TaylorMade and a lot of the people behind the scenes at TaylorMade to explain a little bit more about what that is all about. But I've not seen that. You've seen enough of my testing.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm not seeing that in really any other driver out there. When I get it out the toe, the ball speed does drop off, but the spin reduces and I still get the shot that I need because the faces are helping me. But it's an important note for this driver.
And that is comparable. So, you know, these are dotted up and the location was within a mil of each other. The swing speed was there or thereabouts in miles an hour. So, you know, maybe 1 mile an hour difference in swing speed, but you're seeing a 4 or 5 increase in a toe strike on that compared to this. And that just says to me it's a lot more forgiving across the face. I think the key thing with these drivers in this model, Triple Diamond and the Plus, is you've got to be a baller to get them maximise the most out of them. You know, these are, if you do go across the face, you'd probably put the Stealth in as opposed to Stealth Plus, and maybe the Paradym as opposed to Triple Diamond. You know, these types of driver, if you're having an off day, will make you look very, very silly.
Yeah, they'll show you up. They'll show you up. What I would say is I probably felt when I moved that weight back in the Paradym, the weight at the back rather than the front made life a lot easier for me to be able to square that club face up and get the most out of the driver. So.
And it's something you've always said. I used to have the Maverick Sub-Zero, don't know why, but it was a great idea. And you used to say the same thing. Felt very heavy at the bottom. Yeah. And nothing's changed really.
Yeah, absolutely right. Well, we'd like to hear what you think about these two drivers. Are you going to be going out comparing them? Are you going to be putting them to the test? We'd like to hear down in the comments down below. And as always, don't forget, if you're new to the channel and you like what you're seeing from these compares, hit that subscribe button. And we'll probably see everyone, well, next week, Lee. Happy with that?
Yeah, maybe.
See you next week.